Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today, really quick, I'm going to show you how to make a couple simple lamps just using random beads and bead caps that you may have in your stash of what are you keeping that for. Now, this is a super simple process or project, and I'm sure you have some of these things laying around among the things you already have, or you may have them laying around your house and didn't realize that they would be great for creating miniatures. Now I'm using two kind of large pearl beads from a kind of dramatic looking costume jewelry necklace. And I thought they were the perfect size to make some more hurricane lamps. Now I'd already created one previously with smaller beads. Now I was just trying out a couple other beads I had. And you can use whatever types of beads that you have available. But I just want you to see that the one I made previously and some of the bead caps that I used on that one. Now in this frame, I'm just trying out different options to be the top of the hurricane. And dolls, I'm actually kind of freestyling, just playing around with whatever I have. You may want to assemble all the pieces together before you begin to glue things. But in this instance, I had already made the main body of this one. So I was working with something to try to be the finial or the finishing piece of the hurricane part of the lamp. And even though I like this little green piece, I feel like there should be something in additional under it. So I'm going to have to dig through my box of what are you keeping that for to finish it. And I did have this other little gold piece that I thought looked kind of cute. And then I found another piece that had gold and stones on it that I thought would work a little bit better. But I just want you to see some of the components that I used to make a previous lamp. And I actually, for that one, used a toothpaste cap to be the lamp shade. So it's any number of ways you can assemble these pieces to create whatever type of lamp you want to make. These are just some examples of what I did. Now, if you haven't seen the unboxing videos from me and Jolene on Tiny Keyhole Minis, I will leave a link in the description so you can see one of the lamps that I made in this series that I actually gave to her in her gift box. So you can see that this particular process works with any types of beads. Now for the lamp that I'm making now, I used the old piece of wire and straightened it out so I could stack the beads. But I had made a lamp previously and there's a wire in between, but it's stabilized by the bead caps as well. Now there's quite a bit of this footage I'm just allowing you to watch me play because although I know what I want the lamps to look like, I don't know exactly what pieces I'm going to use. So a lot of this is experimentation. So try to gather together all the different options you have. And I'm just trying to see what works. And that's really what you have to do a lot of times with miniatures. You're going to have to experiment and try different things and figure out what's really going to work best for your project. And I know many times it's a lot simpler to have something already figured out for you or already planned out or something set up in a kit form. But it's really a lot of fun when you take the time to just resolve the problem or come up with a solution to a problem yourself. So you're never afraid of whether you can fix it if it breaks or if you find or buy something that's broken or damaged with missing pieces. You won't be worried that you'll be able to fix it because you'll always know that you've developed the skills to be able to repair absolutely anything. And I can't tell you, dolls, what a great feeling that is. Now, with this particular lamp, after I got the wire stabilized, I started to stack the different components that I wanted in the middle. So I had my base piece and the bead cap on the bottom, and I added a little extra glue down there to make sure that it was secure. Now, even though this is super glue, it doesn't dry instantly, so you will need to give it some setup time. That's the Loctite super glue gel. Now, Gorilla super glue gel works just as well. And I just had to give it a moment to stabilize. Now, I had a piece of wood at the bottom to kind of be the base, and I probably should have sanded it off so that it would be flush and smooth, but I didn't, dolls. I ended up having to do that at the end of this particular project. But here I am adding the extra bead cap for the bead to rest on to stabilize it and keep everything straight. Now, to take some of the guesswork out, if you had some rigid piece of wire or rod that fit through the bead and through the bead caps, that would take a little bit of the stress that I'm going through right now out of this project. Now, after I got the base piece of the lamp stabilized, I went on to add what I call the center beads, which are kind of like the beads that divide the two different beads from each other to, again, to make it really look like a lamp. And so I added actually three pieces. So I did a bead cap on top of the pearl, then I put another piece in the center, and then a third piece to be the part that the second bead rests on, and I put an ample amount of the Loctite glue and then slipped it on top of the bead. Now again, you're going to have to hold it for a little bit because super glue is not instant. After I realized that I needed to give that bead a little time to dry and set, I went on to work on a couple other smaller projects to distract me. So I had these lovely little cups that came out of my last bundle of what are you keeping that for items from my friend Whitney. And I had some little grommets, and I thought that the grommets with these little brass cup-shaped pieces, I thought they would look really cute. So I added a little of the super glue to the rim of the grommet, and then I added the little cup piece to it. I'm not even sure what I'm going to use this for, but I just thought it was really, really cute. Now, after I did the first one, I played around with a couple other ideas to see if I could make another one, but I really didn't like the way it looked on that really bright colored brass bead cap. And by the time the little brass cup or container was dry, so was my little pearl lamp. Now I have two pearl lamps and they are ready to be decorated. And when I say decorated, they need some flowers on the outside. Every time I ever saw a hurricane lamp like this, they always had beautiful floral motifs on the outside. And just then I realized I didn't put a finial on the top of this lamp. So let me grab a little piece and finish this one off before I move on. So I found another little bead cap that I liked and added that to the top of the stem in the center of the toothpaste cap lampshade. Now I'm going to set this aside and allow it to dry and go ahead and finish the other lamp. Now I finally decided on a base for the finial or the hurricane part of that green lamp, and I did find a spare gold grommet to put at the top of the larger pearl lamp. Now while the tops of those little lamps are drying, I went on to work on a couple other small things that I came up with while I was sitting here. Now I had a little pony bead that was kind of a cream or a white color, and I had this other little paper fastener piece, and it was kind of small and fit right inside the pony bead. And I thought the two of them together looked like some type of jar of skin cream or pomade. I just think it would look really cute on a dresser or table or somewhere in the bathroom. Now here's another one of those paper fasteners. It's a larger size, but I just wanted you to see what I was using. Now I only had a few of the really small ones, but the large ones were just to show you what I'm using, and the larger one can be definitely used for a bigger bead. Now this little paper fastener happened to be a bright blue, and I cut the long stem off so it would fit neatly inside the pony bead. And I've already added glue, so I'm going to allow it to dry. And then I went on to add glue to a couple other little pieces that I thought would look cute as little perfume bottles or jars of cosmetics on the dresser. Now, sometimes, dolls, I just make random pieces because I just feel like everything doesn't have to be so clearly defined. You just want to give the impression of certain items. And when you have a cluster of items in a scene, it really gives an interesting look. Lots of different colors, lots of different shapes, different types of metals. It just makes for a really interesting scene. And in the midst of playing, I found a couple other pieces that were about the same size, and I glued them together as well. And this was just a flat back purple looking gemstone and then a flat spacer bead, and I glued them together to look like a jar. So now I have plenty of extras for any upcoming projects. Now when it comes to painting your little pearl beads or whatever color bead you have, the colors are totally up to you. I like to kind of go with a more traditional look of something that looks similar to something like a rose. And again, I'm not being very specific, dolls. I'm not trying to make it look like a real rose. I just wanted to give the impression that there are flowers on the lamp. So I'm using red as my base. I did add a couple little green leaves on the side, and I kind of did it in kind of a shape like as if there were three different blooms. And after I got the red base on there, I made my leaves a little bit bigger. And then I went on to add my multiple layers of color. So on top of the red, I added some pink. And after I was satisfied with the pink, I came back with a little purple or lavender. And then when I was satisfied with the large lamp, I went on to work on the smaller one and do the same thing. I started with a kind of a pinkish red base, and then I came back with more pink and a little purple and just kind of mixed the colors up, dolls. I wasn't being very specific. Again, I was just playing and having fun. And when I was finally finished with the larger lamp, I set it aside to dry. Then I added more red to the smaller one because I felt like the colors weren't standing out enough for me, and layered in some more pink and some purple. And after I got done adding pink and purple, I came back to add little dots of yellow to the centers of the bloom. Now, dolls, you can be very specific. You can make a perfect flower, bloom, peony, rose, daisies, whatever you like. Again, this should be a fun project. Don't make it stressful. But if the first flowers you put on, you don't like them, it's easy to wipe them off. This is just acrylic paint. Just wipe it off with a little sponge or cloth and start over. And work on it until you're satisfied with the image on your little lamps. Now, dolls, if you enjoyed this video today and you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and always look for me on Mondays and Wednesdays after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.